On this episode of the Growing Father podcast, we had a great conversation with Coach Heath Henry in Lafayette, Louisiana, owner of Acadiana Jiu Jitsu, repping it out today. We had a great conversation about the impact that Jiu Jitsu can have for both kids and adults, how to pick a gym. We went through a whole lot with him. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know. All right, man. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing good, buddy. How's new life as a dad?
She's starting to sleep all night, so that's a good thing, man. It's been quite an experience for sure, to say the least. I didn't think that the sleep deprivation would be as big of an issue, but it's kind of like a snowballing effect. Like at the end of that first month, towards the beginning of the second month, it's like, oh man, I'm just tired all the time now. But it's starting to even out. I'm getting more sleep. This morning I'm off this morning, so I got to kind of sleep in a little bit, catch up a little bit. But,
How old is she now?
On the 9th, she'll be 3 months.
3 months. That's awesome, man. Yeah, you had a lot of a good little bit of changes this year, right? Like within the last 12 months, you opened a new spot, got married, had a baby. It's been
like one thing after the other. I guess blessings in disguise that seem like really, really hard work. But man, we've kind of come a long way in a very short period of time. And I'm just getting to the point where like I'm kind of seeing a little plateau where I can kind of take a little breathing room and a little break. But we kind of got getting into a routine now. You know, Morgan's back at work. I'm trying to reintegrate myself back into teaching, which has been it's been kind of a challenge. Just I'm trying to catch up on other things and still be home in the evenings with the baby before she goes to bed. It's kind of rough sometimes when I get home and she's already sleeping, man. You know, I didn't see her all day. But it's running a business.
You had stepped back a little bit and you were just letting other people teach a bit more, and now you're trying to.
I kind of took a big step back like about a month before the baby came. I handed off my classes. I wasn't teaching any classes at that point. And I was kind of having Clayton run the business essentially while I was gone for about, I think like a good month and a half. Once I started coming back just to work and everything to kind of relieve him on the managerial stuff, I think that's when I realized just how much I miss teaching and how much teaching that's kind of my purpose. You know, running the gym is great and everything, but I think my heart and what makes me feel accomplished is when I'm teaching. And I really need to get back into doing that. So.
That's cool. Yeah, that's one of the things that people don't realize when you start a business is that you may start a business with a passion, right? For you teaching jiu-jitsu. I see a lot of people that start, restaurants or a gym because they're like, I love fitness or I love, cooking. And then they realize that running a business involves 90% of everything else. And you get to do a lot of times very little of that thing that you started the business for.
Yeah. Essentially, every reason you wanted to start your own business, it's the opposite. It's like, man, I want to work less. I don't want to work this hard for some other person, and you're just working harder for yourself and you're working more often. And it's a trap. It's a trap, guys.
Yeah. When people ask me about owning a business, I'll tell them, I got tired of working for other people from 9 to 5 and I'll work for myself 24/7 now.
Mm-hmm. That's accurate.
That's
accurate,
that's the reality. So man,
where are you right now?
Dude, I work all the time.
But where are you?
I'm in Gainesville.
At home?
Yeah, but I'm at home.
Same.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good, It's a luxury. Make your own schedule and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. It has its perks, man. I mean, even through ups and downs and, sometimes things get really hard and you wonder why, why am I doing this? I could go get a job and make more money than I make owning a business. And then, you realize that, if you love the game, that's the control that you have, the ability that you have to make those choices, the feeling that your destiny is in your own hands, right? I
Not
don't think those
not
things have a
every
price.
man, not every caveman was a hunter,
Mm-hmm.
Some were gatherers, some were cooks, you know,
Yeah.
some take care of the kids. It is what it is, but like I think there's some inner thing in some of us that like we were probably the ones that couldn't sit still in school, that have the authority complex. The teacher would be like, something wrong with this kid, and it's like, no, it's just you're trying to make me sit still, and I don't want to do spelling words all day. But yeah, man, I think that authority complex kind of has something to do with that
Mm-hmm.
like Joe Rogan says, the leftover monkey shit, right? So you can, yeah, we got to go out there and hunt. We got to go. No, I'm not listening to you. I got to go hunt. But
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of things to that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go grab a cup real quick.
Yeah, you're good.
Right on. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So tell me more, man. And I don't think I've ever talked to you a whole lot about this, but how long have you been doing jiu-jitsu? What kind of got you started? And, tell me a little bit about your journey and what jiu-jitsu has done for you.
Well, I guess my jiu-jitsu journey didn't really start with jiu-jitsu, right? It started with wrestling. When I was in high school, I found the wrestling program at Acadiana High School.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrestled 3 years, fell in love with the sport. And then afterwards, I was kind of like feeling like I was missing something, right? Had some kind of existential crisis in my 20s, and had to find something, right? Had to find something meaningful again instead of just, going to the bars like everyone else. Sorry, I got cat hair everywhere. So the wrestling was kind of like a gateway to grappling. I kind of learned how to grapple a little bit for high school anyway. And I started coaching because I was kind of looking for something meaningful, like I said. And I kind of fell in love with coaching. I fell in love with the kids that were wrestling at the time. I realized what wrestling did for me in high school, having like a good, shout out to Ray Alvarado and Brad Maha and, all those guys that, dealt with this little kid, and with a bad attitude wrestling anyway. They kind of showed me what a good positive male role model was, unbeknownst to myself. And I just thought I'd try and, emulate that for those kids. I was going to school for like education. I wanted to be a coach. That was my main thing. And then I started coaching and realized like the administration part and the public school systems were just, the teachers got it kind of rough, man. So I realized that's not what I wanted to do. So I was like, man, they got that Tim Crater guy from the Ultimate Fighter that just opened up a gym in Lafayette. So I was like, man, me and my buddy, we were like, let's go check it out. So we went to Academy, right? And we're looking at like boxing gloves and stuff. And this raspy, coon-ass Brobridge accent voice right behind me. Man, anything that says UFC is garbage. Like we're looking at the gloves and then like the UFC branded ones,
Yeah.
of course, the ones we're looking at. We turn around and it's like, man, it's like, you're Tim Crater. And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, me and my buddy are like, well, what are you doing here getting gloves if all this stuff's garbage? He's like, well, my wife's got a cardio kickboxing class he's doing. So he's picking up like these pink, cheap Everlast gloves or whatever. But we start kind of kicking the shit with him a little bit. And he's like, yeah, man, just, I was like, well, what do we need to come to our first class? He's like, man, just bring your Ninja Stars and football helmets and you'll be fine. I was like, kind of, breaking the ice a little bit. But we showed up. I was doing MMA first, right? Not jiu-jitsu. I didn't know what the fuck jiu-jitsu was. So we... it's actually the location that Acadiana Jiu Jitsu is in right now. is the original Gladiators Academy where I first started training.
Yeah.
So our back yoga room was my first martial arts lesson. I'm about to drop some names here. Tim Crater said, "Hey, this is Dustin. Y'all about the same size. Try and kill each other." First day. So Dustin Poirier was who it was. He teep kicked me into a wall and like folded me over. Like I got teep kicked, flew into a wall. It was like some Street Fighter shit, right? So back in the day, a lot of people don't know this, but you weren't paying to learn martial arts. You were paying to be martial artists that were better than you's training dummy. And eventually you either quit or you kind of learn how to defend yourself, right? And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like,
or until you got some newer guys there.
That was my first experience with martial arts, right? I didn't do karate as a kid or anything like that. I wrestled, right? So, I think like maybe the later that practice or like the next practice, definitely within the first week. So it's Tim Crater, and this isn't Tim like now. This is Tim like competition, Skeletor, big, long, lanky frame, like looking at you with dead caveman eyes. And like when I sparred Tim, he acted like he never met me in academy or anything. It was just some dude in class, right? He's like, "Hey, it is the round with him. Take it like I'm at this point probably like 180, 5'6", right? Out of shape, drunk, smoke cigarettes, not the best in shape guy." So Tim looks me dead in the eyes with his hands up and says, "How hard do you want me to hit you?" So I was like, "As hard as I hit you." Like, yeah, that's a good one, right? That's a good one. He said, "Right on, my name's Tim." Bam! Jab straight to the face. I've never been hit like that before. Never been hit like that in the face before. This is like a 200-pound man, like 6 foot something, straight jab to the face. Obviously, I wasn't ready for it. He even made a joke right before he did it. Like, these were the tactics you have to deal with back in the day. Not just like if they knew how to fight. It's just like, I'm going to fucking, hey, this is our sense of humor. And people wonder why I'm intense. I'm like, I'm not that intense. This is just how I came up through this stuff. But anyway, some time passed. There were no-gi classes in the other room in the gym, which is our black room now, which was like the jiu-jitsu room back in the day. So I had to get a gi. They had no-gi classes. I did that for a while. I was just getting murdered. Like, I thought I could wrestle. I'd take people down. They just choke me out on the ground no matter what I could do. My arms got really flexible because people were always like arm barring me and stuff, my shoulders and everything. It was great for the body as long as you tap in time, but not always that.
It's not always quite that easy.
The ego, we didn't really work on the ego until later, right? We're just breaking egos at first. So anyway, this is before I was like in the cool kids club of the gym, right? A lot of people weren't like in the cool kids club. Those were like the fighters that fought as like often as they could. I thought I wanted to do MMA until I got it ruined for me because I was realized like how intense the training actually had to be. But like now looking back is like, if you have the skills, it's not as intense because you're just beating up unskilled people. So now there's tiers of classes, right? There's like the beginner class and then there's like the pro amateur practices. So anyway, I was like, man, Josh RT, my judo coach, he was like, man, you got to put on the gi. It's like, if you really want to get good at fighting, you got to put on the gi. And this was in MMA class. Josh was saying this, right? It's like, okay, let me go buy a gi. They had these like beginner Fuji gis. I got like an A3 and like it doesn't even fit me anymore. It's like the size of the A0. These gis used to shrink so bad. But that's kind of when it started for me. It's like I put on the gi, I think in like 2009 maybe. I started training in like 2008. But that's when stuff got a little bit more in my lane, right? It reminded me going compete in jiu-jitsu was a lot like going to a wrestling tournament, right? My first jiu-jitsu tournament was actually the Louisiana State Judo tournament, where I got foot swept and the air knocked out of me, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. We just got up and bowed. I think if we bow, that's over, and he won. I was like, we bowed, and he was like, okay, bow to the referee. I was like, okay. Yeah, he kicked my ass. I could barely breathe. Not too sure what was going on. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu tournaments, and that's when my wrestling actually did shine, because a lot of these dudes would like, they wrestle for a little bit and then pull guard. So when I started competing in jiu-jitsu, I was like, man, I could do this and not get punched in the face all the time. This is kind of where it's at. So I kind of drifted away from MMA for a while, geeked out on jiu-jitsu for like a decade, I guess. And I ended up doing an MMA fight later on, because once you get to like upper purple belt, brown belt, black belt, like you need to start either specializing in something, or you start adding to your game, I guess you could say. And I didn't want to be the black belt that didn't know how to, fight with punches and kicks and stuff. So like I kind of pride myself as a martial artist, not just an athlete. I'm an athlete some of the times. I'm a martial artist all the time. So yeah, man, that's kind of how the journey happened. I taught. I mean, if you want me to keep going, I can continue to now. If you want.
So how long between that when you started and you got your black belt?
11 years, I think.
Okay.
I got my black belt in 2019. I started in 2008. I did take a year off because I tore my ACL. I was overtraining, not eating right, not recovering. And I remember I tore my ACL either at a wrestling practice, coaching the kids, or it might have even been at jiu-jitsu or something. But I was like coaching the kids at state, and I was like limping, hopping from mat to mat. And it was kind of embarrassing, but at the time I was like, oh yeah, man, it was a wrestling coach, whatever. But yeah, it was a long journey, and I thought about quitting, man, whenever I tore my ACL, and I think Tim Crater, man, that dude's intervened in my life like someone like, oh, nope, go this way, several times. The one time I saw him at Academy for the first time ever, right? He was like, oh, come try the class. He kind of made it not so serious of a issue, even though when we got there, we realized it was serious, and we didn't know how to fight at all. But then, I was on Johnston Street in Lafayette, smoking a cigarette probably, cruising down the street, window down, and Tim Crater pulls up in his Honda Element. Now, this is a large man, and that's a very small car, but, you picture it. Hey, Heath, what's going on, man? He said, when you come back to the gym to beat me up? I had no excuse. I knew anything I told him, he'd say, oh, it's bullshit. So I was just like, I'll be there tomorrow. Showed up tomorrow. It was after I'd recovered from my knee surgery and everything. I was kind of like training in my shed, punching a punching bag, trying to work on stance stuff with my leg. But a lot of people, I think, when they want to do martial arts, or maybe they feel like they don't have the money to, or they haven't committed yet. They haven't quite committed to wanting to really learn martial arts yet. They'll try and beat up their friends. I mean, essentially that's what was going on in the original Gladiators. It was just beating up our friends, but they'll make they'll get some mats at home.
Fight club.
Yeah, those kind of like a little fight club type thing. And I'm not gonna lie, we did that shit too. I had a really nice setup in my shed at one point. But we'd have drinking parties, people come over, and it's I'm fucking up my friends. It's a few months training, you'll fuck up your friends. They don't have a chance. And they realize they don't know what the fuck they're doing, and it's even worse. It's why little MMA fighters can be bouncers at bars and shit. So I would recommend that anyone who's in this situation, go find you a reputable school, man. If you want to be good at martial arts, you can't be the biggest fish in the pond, especially if you're the one that dug the pond. Okay? This is coming from a guy that opened his own school, right? You got to venture out. Last night, I did not train at my home gym. I went to Gladiators. Trained with Jared Conks and a bunch of people over there, Drake Pelgrim and all them. So you got to get outside of your pond every once in a while. If you're starting in the small pond that you built yourself with just your little friends on the weekends, you need to get into a reputable school, man. It'll change your life. There's no accountability in your shed. There's no accountability in your buddy's backyard. No one's going to push you to get better because you're the best one. So
It's great for your
that's my
ego, right?
advice.
It's great for your
Yeah.
ego when you're the best guy in any kind of setting. And I feel like so many people do that in whatever arena. Maybe martial arts, it may be sports, it may be you just want to hang out with people that make you feel really smart instead of venturing out and feeling dumb from time to time or feeling bad. And I think that's quite a common occurrence that people want to be that top dog. And I heard somebody saying this a while back, that is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Absolutely. Or the loudest.
Yeah.
It's always the loudest guy, right? You don't want to be the loudest guy in the room.
That's right. And so whenever you're going through this teaching, and was it always opening your own place kind of in the back of your mind, like was kind of the dream for you?
So at first, well, yeah, honestly, I think I was a blue belt. Me and Tim were riding to Homa to go visit Derek Bro, one of his other black belts. We was going to do a seminar or something. And I was like, yeah, man, I'd like to open up my own school once I get a black belt. And I was a blue belt at the time. And Tim was like, why the fuck you want to wait till you're a black belt? Open a school now. And this is a guy that used to say in class, it's very disrespectful to open up a gym in the same, vicinity as your instructor and stuff like that. I was like, how the fuck am I going to do that, Tim? I would love to open up a gym, but you're the one that was saying don't open up, I think somebody might've did that to Rodrigo back in the day or something. Rodrigo Medeiros is Tim's instructor. He's a Carlson Gracie black belt. It's awesome. I told you I'd be dropping a lot of names.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Anyway, what were we saying? Sorry, I lost track.
About opening your own gym.
Yeah. So Tim was telling me, yeah, man, go ahead and do it. And dude, Tim's been nothing but like on one-on-one situations, been nothing but supportive in my endeavors, my entire career. Say what you want about him. I can always call him for advice, and he'll give me his unfiltered, honest opinion on what I should do. One of his biggest Tim isms is, give zero fucks, but just be nice. He is very nice, but he doesn't give a shit about what other people say. So, I kind of take that, into consideration sometimes, try and apply that. But, I always thought that I'd have to open a school somewhere else. So, I lived in a shed for 7 years, Felipe. I bought a mobile home when I did buy a home because I thought I would have to move somewhere to open up a school. I started teaching for Tim at some point. I think, dude, I was paying tuition. I was assisting, the assistant instructor. I was assisting more classes than I was actually attending. All right. And I was still training and coaching the wrestling team at one point. Thank God I was in my 20s. And then still trying to figure out life, man. So my social life revolved around grappling. My social life that was kind of wrapped around drinking and going to the bars, it was still kind of present, but I didn't realize how much of a hindrance it was at that time. I started teaching for Tim, and when Tim called me in his office and was like, hey, we'd like to give you this spot, your own class, blah, 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 blah. I was like, man, that's great. But I'm assisting all these other classes, paying tuition. It's I don't think I can do it, man. I still got to make money. He's like, oh, you ain't got to pay tuition anymore. It's you don't have to assist those classes anymore. Just teach this class. And I was like, hold up. So I went from essentially helping assist for free while paying tuition to not having to pay tuition and then getting paid to teach jiu-jitsu. So shit was hold on. Something shifted in my brain. I was like, I think I quit. I quit college. I was like, I got to figure out how to do this jiu-jitsu thing. So eventually, the UFC gym in Lafayette opened up, and I don't know if they were looking for a jiu-jitsu program. So I think someone over there approached Tim, or Tim approached them or something. I think he finagled some way for me to go over there, and they were going to pay me to teach jiu-jitsu. But I think they were also paying Tim an affiliation or something like that. So it was a win-win situation for everyone, right? I got to kind of start a program from scratch, which no one listened to me at that gym. No one listened to me. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, we can't do that. They closed a year later.
I don't know if you remember that, but that was my first jiu-jitsu experience.
You came to the UFC gym?
Yeah.
Fuck no, dude. I don't remember that at all. Are you
Yeah.
serious?
I
Was it
went
my class?
there. So I had been working at Anytime Fitness,
Okay.
and things were not going well. So I decided to kind of just go on my own. And I went there, and I was going to do some personal training there. The guy said, "Hey, look, you can be a personal trainer here. Uh, Maybe eventually you can even teach some like cardio, kickboxing classes," which I was like, I have no idea what the hell. It's like, as long as
Not
the
not
combinations
not
make
many not
somewhat
not many
sense.
people do
Yeah, he's
when
like,
they
as
first
long as
start.
the combinations that you tell him make somewhat sense. And so I went there for, I don't know, a couple weeks. The guy's idea was like, hey, if you can get some clients here, you can train them here. And then he told me that I could also start the class. I went to probably like two or three classes. And I remember this guy took my back, and he flattened me on the ground, and I was laying under my arms as he choked me.
That's some old school shit.
And I couldn't tap. I could barely say anything. And I was just trying to release my arms enough just to tap. And that was my first experience with
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu. But it was fun.
Sometimes you can't cover everything. You're like, hey, if you can't tap with your hands, say something.
Yeah. But it was great, man. And I didn't realize until I went to Acadiana Jiu Jitsu. I was like, hey, yeah, this guy looks familiar, and that's where I knew it from. But I went there I went to two or three classes over there.
Fuck, Felipe, I barely remember that, dude. I not actually I don't remember you being there at all. I apologize. Should have made more of a lasting impact on each other, I guess.
You know what I remember from you from then? I was rolling with this girl. I didn't know anything, and I jumped up and I threw some kind of like haphazard like triangle, and you said, "Oh, somebody's been watching the UFC." And that's what I remember. I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
keep going.
But yeah, and then it wasn't until a few years later that you had to open Acadiana Jiu Jitsu, and I said,
that had to have been like 6 years later.
Okay.
Because when the UFC gym closed, Eric Scallon approached me to go coach for him when he opened Gladiators Academy of Youngsville, and I stayed there for like 4 or 5 years, 4.5 years, something like that. And then when I left over there, I opened my own place. That was like in the middle of COVID and everything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you ever want to open up a business, don't do it in the middle of COVID. A little advice.
Yeah. Hopefully we won't have to deal with that in our lifetime anymore. Right?
Yeah, right.
But who knows? So,
dude, have to deal with that. Skynet.
Right now, you guys have, we guys have one of the, since I started training with you guys, which I don't even know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
About 4, yeah, we've been open about a little over 4 years.
Yeah, so I've been to so many gyms, either visiting or when we moved to Gainesville, I went to, to visit gyms, bring my kids to different gyms, and I've seen so many different ways that people do things. And out of the little experience that I had there, you guys run the most successful like kids program that I've seen. Not just in how many kids you guys have, but also the connection that you guys have with the kids. I keep an eye on your Instagram, and I see how many kids been there since, Dude, since we started.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. The kids program is our specialty. We like I said earlier, talking about coaching wrestling, being that adult. I know this is kind of a cliche thing, but being that adult that we needed as kids for these kids is it's essentially what we do, man. It's they say it takes a village to raise children. We are the village. I wish I would have had some type of martial arts program when I was a kid, because I can't speak enough to how much good it did for me as an adult, as a young adult, um, struggling with things through my 20s, when it comes to like alcohol, fitting in, learning how to take care of my own body, learning how to become a man. Because like I had a lot of really great examples, father figures, like of what not to do growing up. Like I had really good examples of what not to do. And it wasn't until wrestling and jujitsu and I found these other role models to kind of like they by all means, my role models are flawed human beings. Every human is. We have our flaws, but like to see the good in people and to be like, I want to emulate that. Uh that's what we're trying to be. And when I that's that same thing I look for when I'm hiring instructors. I really don't like hiring outside people. I like hiring people like Felipe. If you were still here, I would definitely have asked you to be one of our instructors, man. Because I know your family. I got a lot of people in the gym that the instructors we hired from within. Justin, Clayton, all these guys. Well, Clayton was like an outside hire because he helped
It's
start,
there from the beginning.
but he's a rooster now. He's a rooster now. But yeah, man, the kids program, gym owners out there, I'll give you my biggest secret. Um, if you take care of your kids program and you have a very successful kids program, you can have all the cool adult amenities you want. All right. We just built a sauna. We didn't need a sauna. I wanted a sauna. We have a yoga program. We don't need a yoga program. It's kind of a money pit, to be honest with you, but I like yoga. I haven't been going. I need to go tomorrow morning, right? Uh, we have a striking program, an MMA team. We have three fucking mat rooms, dude. We got a kids chaos corner so you can let your little demons go play while class is going on, so it doesn't distract people. We got a strength and conditioning program now, Wolves Den Fitness. One of my students, again, hiring from within, Chris Jones. He's starting his own business, so Wolves Den Fitness. We're kind of working with him to get his business off the ground. I'm trying, like I said, man, we're trying to be the village. We're trying to have a community, right? But a community that's our whole motto for Acadiana Jiu Jitsu is a community where integrity meets accountability, because that's what we're kind of missing in I think in the social settings in today. Um, but yeah, man, I'm currently working on a kids character development program. We've been using it's called the Powerful Words program by Dr. Robin Silverman. It's awesome, but why shouldn't we create our own? We're revamping the kids program right now to where we have like more of a intro and advanced program, or an intro and competition program. So it's not just like one big jujitsu class. All these problems we're having is good problems to have, because the kids program's growing so much. Um, but yeah, man, you just take care of the kids, make sure the kids are safe, make sure the instructors are good instructors that really care about the progress of the kids. And as long as that's going good, man, we can have adult class where we try and kill each other and have a good time. So
Yeah, and I've seen, even on as I follow the gym, I see a lot of parents joining as well, and that comes, I imagine, largely from the kids being involved and the kids being well taken care of, and the parents are like, "Oh, I guess I saw that Kyla was competing the other day." This
dude,
is pretty cool.
she just got in it, and she's in it now. Like we did, she went compete. So when you go compete, you got all these questions. You're like, oh, what about this? And like, if you wouldn't have gone compete, you wouldn't have had all these questions, and you wouldn't have got that much better. So man, she had to go against this girl who's bigger than her, who's higher ranked than her, and she got after it. I was very proud of her. But she's in it now. Her kids have been in it for like 4 years, and now she's jumping in it. Um, we got some moms that are jumping in. We got some dads that are jumping in. I honestly think like the dads are seeing their kids progress, and they're like, man, this kid's gonna be 17 eventually, and he's gonna kick my ass. So I think the
Yeah.
dads eventually start training so their kids don't kick their ass later. But also, man, the I think some of them see the changes in some of the adults that have been in the program, or some of the other parents that have been in the program. Like, man, I want some of that. Like, look at this chick losing all kinds of weight. It's like, man, look at this guy getting kind of got some muscles now, man. He used to have kind of a beer gut, you know. Um, it's not. It used to be jujitsu used to be like the dark place that becomes the happy place. It used to be like the guy struggling, you know, in life, so just want to go beat somebody up or something, or get beat up or whatever, and or you know the proverbial guy that just got a divorce and he's looking for meaning in life again. That's still that, but I mean, predominantly now it's families. It's or in our case anyway, like in our gym, it's families, man. It's people that are looking to find something healthy, to find something else to do besides stare at a fucking screen, you know. Uh, yeah, man. It's. I think it gets back to old school primal caveman shit, man. Rough and tumble play. Like, you know, I'm sure there's some type of psychologist that can speak better on it, but that shit, you know.
Yeah, I saw the other day, and you see throwing around all the time, statistics online, but I was seeing this saying that kids that play rough tend to be healthier adults. And I see that right now with my kids on their ability to handle different things. Sometimes if they're acting up or whatnot, I'll go and I'll rough them up a little bit. Say, hey, we're gonna deal with this a little bit different, than just we're gonna always talk, because sometimes you have all these feelings, right? And sometimes you just need to get some stuff out. And I find that all of us doing jujitsu has allowed for that a,
Mm-hmm.
a good bit.
Well, you learn physical rules, physical social rules, right? So like when me and you meet, you know, I might like, you know, give you a hug and kind of push you around a little bit, check your base, you know, because we've been martial artists, I've sweated in your mouth and vice versa, right? We're a little bit closer to the normal person.
Gross.
You see some dude you don't know from jujitsu, it's like, hi sir, how are you? How's the family, right? So there's this closeness that's built through rough and tumble play. I mean, think about like a kitten or a puppy that's taken away from his mother and his siblings too early. That little motherfucker bites, like, you know, but the puppies that's been around or the kittens that's been around their siblings, they bite them, they scream, they kind of learn that social, oh, that's too hard. You know, oh, that's, you know, that's not getting this motherfucker off me. I need to bite him, scream harder, you know. So that navigation is very primal. But if the whole time you're in grade school is like, y'all stop playing Power Rangers, that
Don't
somebody
touch,
told me.
don't touch
Yeah,
each other.
they
No,
told me that whenever I was in that. Don't play Power Rangers. Like, Power Rangers, cool. Have you watched Power Rangers? Like, they're doing kicks and shit. I want to do kicks and shit at recess, but nope, don't do that. Then recess isn't 45 minutes anymore. Now it's 30 minutes, or it might be less than that now. Now, if it's too fucking hot or there's a cloud in the sky, we can't let them go outside. You
man,
know,
that's one
so
of the things that I hate. When I hear my kids reply, telling me about what they are telling in school. We had Lucas the other day, like last year. He had this kid that was pushing him in line, and he came in. You could tell that he was upset, and like he's not just like, this kid pushes me. You could tell that this is bothering him. That this kid every day pushes him in line. And so I
he's been
went,
stewing on what to do.
yeah, and I went and I went through the 3 T's with him. So
Right on.
day one is like, hey, tomorrow you're gonna tell this kid, hey, do not touch me, do not, don't mess with me. And one of the things that he said to me was, Dad, we cannot talk in line because we get in trouble. So he has this kid pushing him, and he's afraid that if he tells the kid to stop, he's going to get in trouble for talking. And I had to, tell him, if you get in trouble for that, we'll sort that out later. Don't worry. So
How old is Lucas now?
he's 7.
7. Dude, that is, yeah, man. That's I'm glad it's that level. But that's how it is in school. You got a kid like harassing you day after day after day, and it's like, I don't want to get in trouble.
That's right.
If I defend myself, I'll get in trouble. but like that's what the schools are telling them. And I think that's where, you know, parents like you and programs like ours come in to give the kids a different dialogue. Like, actually, no, don't wait till they fucking hit you first, because now you have a
Right.
concussion or a broken nose, and now you have to go back to school with that social stigma. So no, like, don't let them get in your space. Have like you saying, the three T's, man, having a dialogue, giving them confidence in a plan and knowing what to do, versus like what I was given, you better go kick his ass, and if you don't, I'm gonna kick your ass, right? Like, that's throwing the kid in the deep end of the pool. Like, fuck swimming lessons, right? No.
And one of the things that I learned from jiu-jitsu too is that I exercise with my kids often is practicing assertiveness. Because when I was growing up, or from what I hear from a lot of people, a lot of times like, you should tell them this and you should tell them that and you should, but there's no, you know, when you're talking to a kid that's bigger than you, it's really hard to exercise that. So for example, in this case with Lucas, we walked to school and we went practicing the whole time. Mm-hmm. Hey, look at me in the eye and tell me, don't touch me. You know, and I would push him a little bit, and and he went to practice, and he did that day. And the kid did that. You know, I'm not gonna push you, but I'm gonna touch you. So he came the next day. He's like, Dad,
make him mad.
I told him. And so I told him to, all right, the next step is you're going to talk to your teacher. And here is how you're going to talk to your teacher. You're not going to go whining to your teacher. You're going to go say, hey, teacher, can I talk to you? It's like, hey, I talked to this kid. He keeps pushing me. I've asked him to stop. Can you help me out here? And the teacher even wrote to us. She's like, I've never seen a kid come to talk to me like this. Because usually they're just listening to, he's touching me. He's pushing me.
Well, just so people don't know, that's the second T.
Correct.
You know, the first one is talk. You got to teach them how to talk to the little asshole kid that's harassing them. Mm-hmm. The second thing is you got to teach them how to tell, right? Without tattling, without sounding like they're whining. So that's the second T.
Exactly. And the teacher reached out to us, and the teacher was very complimentary. Then the teacher moved the kid in the line. She's like, yeah, we've been having trouble with this kid and whatnot. And I think everybody's happy that we didn't get, because if he came the next day and said the kid still pushed me, we're going to go to the third T, which is take them down.
Take that little motherfucker down.
Yeah.
Then we can go back to the first T, right?
That's right.
When you're in full fucking mountain, you can't breathe because I'm smothering you in my t-shirt. Now, hey, you gonna stop hitting me now? Mm-hmm. You know, like, then all of a sudden they're listening. Now we go back to that first T, and guess what's going to happen after that when they get in a fight? And you have to go back to the second T and talk to the teacher calmly.
I used to tell Samuel, I always told him, because, you know, we always believed in hey, you got to be able to defend yourself. And like you were saying earlier, not just after you get hit. Chael Sonnen has a very famous video of an interview that he was given about, like, who gave you this idea of you should get hit first before you hit back. It's like, you know, the way that somebody's looking at you or moving towards you. You know,
it's people that have never been in a fight, Felipe. Yeah. Like I said, it's the you better go kick their ass before I kick your ass. Well, what are you saying? I better go get in a fight with a peer, or you're gonna beat up a child? I'm taking advice from that fucking guy? No.
Exactly. So telling him that if he gets in trouble at school for doing the right thing, we'll sort that out. It's like that. If he gets in trouble for doing the right thing, I'll go pick him up from school. We'll go get ice cream after, that he doesn't have to worry. That if he's standing up for himself or standing up for somebody else, right? You see some other kid getting beat up and you think you should get involved. Hey, man, sometimes you got to defend a smaller kid.
Yeah, but now we don't want them going around like finding kids that are like talking trash, grabbing them and punching them. You know, that's not what we're trying to do.
And as you know, I think that when you see that when you're raising your kid, you start trying to deal with very specific problems, right? So my kids had never had a problem of, man, this kid is just going around pushing kids and trying to punch kids. I actually had to help them a little bit more with, hey, this is happening to you a little bit too much,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is not okay. You should take some action here. And I always told them, hey, you do it, and the teacher comes and catches you, and you just say, hey, I was just defending myself,
Well, I mean,
right?
if they go through the whole protocols, right? They talk to the kid, so the kid knows what's up, right? The kid knows that the behavior isn't favorable to your child, right? Then your child's expressed, hey, teacher, this is what's going on. Just letting you know, could you please take care of it? Because I can't take care of it on my own. It gives the child a chance to fix the problem on their own. But sometimes that doesn't work, right? Sometimes you can be like, hey, don't pick on me. And then they'll pick on the kid that doesn't say shit, and that fixes it. Sometimes it doesn't work. They're like, let me see. I got a reaction out of them. Let me see what's going on. But you go try and get the teacher. You try diplomatic, right? Get the kids to be diplomatic. And then if that doesn't work, well, at that point, it's like the third day in a row, right? It's kind of harassment at that point,
Mm-hmm.
right? If the kid puts their hands on them, like take them down to the ground, renegotiate it. But like at that point, the teacher already knew it was up. And like you said, the teacher fixed the problem, moved the kid. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
If the teacher wouldn't have fixed the problem and wouldn't have moved the kid,
what else are you going to do?
Lucas might have had to, get some scraped up knees and maybe, introduce that kid to the floor. I don't know. But like, once the teacher comes up, she already knew there was a problem. So it's on her at that point or him at that point. But like we said earlier, man, these teachers are going to be like, no, you can't do this. You can't fight. You can't defend yourself. If he fights you, you're both getting in trouble. And it's like, okay, so what is that telling the kids? Like whenever someone does fight, you don't want to get in trouble, so just sit there and let them throw the first punch. Let them assault you. No, man, that's not keeping kids safe.
No,
That's that's
not at
that's the
all.
opposite of it. That's putting them in the crosshairs.
And it's putting them on the passenger seat, right? Where they have no control, where they cannot defend themselves as a precaution. It doesn't teach them to speak in a way, because we've gotten so used now to, I can say whatever I want online, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can go to John Jones and comment on, his Instagram and say how much of a little bitch he is.
Yeah, and how you can knock him out.
And feel really comfortable. Talk to him about how he's scared. Things that you would never do in front of somebody like that, right? And we've gotten so comfortable. And I think there's a certain degree that now kids are experiencing that so much that they can be bullies online without any physical consequences, right?
Well, it comes out whenever they start, whenever you see kids starting to integrate socially, like with a little bit more privacy, right? That's when they start to test these grounds a little bit. But more and more you see that doesn't happen until later and later and later now. Because why go hang out with your buddy down the street when you could just be on Discord telling him how he should fucking kill himself because he sucks at Call of Duty? Well, if you were playing football, that kid would probably punch you if you say some shit like that, right? It's different, right? So the social settings are a little bit different. Now kids don't even feel the urge to go do anything athletic until they got some hormones raging through them. And that's like what, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 for some of these kids. Like, so their first real social interactions aren't until like way later in life now because of the digital age or whatever you want to call it. So that's a factor. Like, I'm seeing like kids that are like 10 years younger than me, or not kids, they're adults. People that are 10 years younger than me is a lot different from the kids that are 20 years younger than me, right? That kids are not even getting their licenses when they're 16 because they don't want the freedom. They don't need the freedom.
Crazy.
Where the fuck are they gonna go? They're all their whole social life's on their fucking phone. So where are they gonna drive to? And I don't even know if this is appropriate to get into, but man, like the access to like pornography as a young kid now, like how are you gonna get a girlfriend if you think that's what they expect? Like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. That's crazy. Right?
And I went down a rabbit hole the other day of watching some of those like predator shows where they catch the person, like the cops pretend to be like a 13-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And one of the things that that like they say very often is that people start with pornography, right? And it made me think, and I even had a conversation with Samuel the other day because, he's starting to get to that age that when you and I were kids, it was porn was not that easy, right?
No,
Like
bro. Like
it
a
wasn't,
Playboy in the bushes.
yeah, like you, it wasn't that easy to come around, right? And now everything is right there. And not just, he has gotten so out of control that you've seen crazier and crazier things, and you hear about, how easy access it is to wilder and wilder shit,
Yeah, but
right?
that's what they're being introduced to first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they first, if I know this is kind of off subject with like pornography and everything, but I think it's kind of like a hot topic right now. So
Very relevant. Yeah.
throw it in your SEO or whatever and get this video popular. Um, no, man. So like, first off, like, why why the hell would I go embarrass myself in front of a real chick if I could just get that urge off in 5 minutes on my phone, right? Another thing is like, if that's what you're looking at and that's what you think sex is, like this gratuitous display of fetishes, like kids aren't ready for that.
No.
What do you want them to go like choke their first girlfriend whenever they're first losing their virginity? That might be a little traumatic, but these kids might think that's what it really is, instead of this awkward, supposed to be fun type of like
Mhm.
experience. Anyway,
Yeah, more of a
getting kind of off
connection.
subject, but the main thing is the sociology is changing because of the digital age. So these kids aren't getting they aren't dealing with bullies at a younger age when like punches don't hurt as bad. It's mostly the emotional thing they got to get over. They're experiencing these like the Tim Crater. How hard do you want me to punch you? They're having those experiences like a literal punch in the face when it actually happens to them socially. The first time you talk to a girl in real life, all of this, like if you're 13, it's like, oh man, there's a chance I might be able to get a girlfriend, blah 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 blah. But when you're 20 and that's the first time that happens, bro.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the first time you experience rejection, right? And and
Smells
here's
like
one of the
itself.
things that I've loved about watching you, especially you teaching when you teach kids, right? Because a lot of times you get some younger kids, and the parent is there sitting on the sidelines, and they can't wait to comfort their kid. The kid's looking at the parent, and I used to love watching you going and telling the mom, like, "Mom, calm down. He is in my class right now. Let me deal with him." Right? Don't, or even, hey, if he doesn't want to do the class, that's okay, but don't just go walk away and go take him for ice cream.
Don't be his out. Don't be the then it goes against your parenting. You want to be that safety, that get out of jail free card, right? You want to be that for them, but you're hurting them by doing that. And I'm not talking about like 2-year-olds. Like, don't let the 2-year-old put their finger in the light socket. Like, no, right? But you gotta let, I think it's some Jordan Peterson ism. Like, you gotta let kids do dangerous things carefully. You gotta leave them alone when they're doing that shit, right? So like, I think it was skateboarding analogy. Leave kids alone when they're skateboarding, right? But like, if a kid's like on the playground and they're on the jungle gym, the worst thing you can do is yell, "Be careful!" And you're like, "What?" Fall, break their arm, right? But if they're managing the fear and they're being careful and slow, let them fucking play, man. Like, let them play. Um, the child that falls and mom's like, "Are you okay?" Well, they were until they realize it's something to be worried about, and then they start crying, and then mom gives them attention. And they're like, "I want more of this shit,"
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're trying to get away from. They see mom, they want to go see mom or dad for that matter. Actually, with dad, they tend to be a little tougher, but especially the little girls. Uh, to get them to be a little bit more independent, right? We used to be able to go play on a playground. I remember going play on a playground. My aunt lived across the street from the playground. Like, she wasn't there watching us. She could look out the window or whatever, but like we go play on the playground. Um, so if you fell or if you go down the slide that's got like rusty shit on it, like that's kind of on you, you know? Um, yeah, man, I think kids need more instances like that. That's like we don't have a playground in the gym, but we have what's called the kids chaos corner. It's literally jujitsu mats set down. We got a bookshelf. We got a bunch of old toys and stuff for the kids to play with. But it's like it's a chance for them to be kind of social. And do they cut up when they're not supposed to wrestle in there, but they kind of do. I don't care. Sometimes they go on one of the free mats and they're playing in there. And it's like, do I tell them like, hey, stop playing around? No, it is what it's for. This place is for like our gym is for kids to have rough and tumble play, and learn the rules of engagement in physical play. Right. The most primal form of that is grappling. It's not throwing balls and shit. That's some hunter shit. But like sociological bonds when we're emulating combat, man, that's I don't know. I'm sure there's, like I said, there's some psychologists that'll be able to explain it better, but there's something about it. You get it, I get it, your boys get it. People that train, they understand it. It's kind of like a wrestling fraternity, I guess.
Yeah, and even learning to communicate their boundaries, right? Even learning to say, hey, nope, I'm done. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, nope, this is not where, like, I don't like this. I am done. And learning to communicate that is so important for them because they're not used to having a lot of opportunities where they can, understand, hey, this person asked me to stop. I'm not going to keep going, right? Or I'm going to tell this person to stop and they should stop. When I tell some, we hear so much of no means no, right? But a lot of times our kid tells us, please stop. And you're like, you just being too sensitive about this. And you keep going instead of understand, hey.
Well, it's different when you know me like that, right? Mm-hmm. My friends bust my balls. But like, if I don't know you come bust my balls, I'm like,
that's trying
to fight
that's
me,
not
bro?
Cool.
Like, what's up? Like, but that same thing as an adult. You trying to fight me, man? What's your problem? There's a dialogue that happens. The same shit we teach the kids, right? Speaking of that, like, say you have a chick that's like in or a guy, it doesn't matter, an adult that's in a work situation where their boss doesn't really appreciate it, takes advantage of them, or whatever it may be. I think I watched a Family Matters episode the other night, and it was kind of like Harry's boss was a jerk, and she ended up quitting. Like, when is enough is enough? When do you go start looking for other options? When do you like give your boss a piece of your mind? When do you start saying like, look, how do you be professional and still stand up for yourself without like running the chance of getting fired? How do you regulate? Is it worth getting fired if I speak this up? Because getting a new job's scary, but also going to a jiu-jitsu tournament's scary. I would even argue that like going to a job interview is not as scary as going to a jiu-jitsu tournament. So if you go to a jiu-jitsu tournament, like, the job interviews aren't going to be that bad, right? You're not getting choked out, and you're sitting across from this boss and you're like, I could choke this dude out with that necktie. No problem. 100%. Like, think of the confidence you have going into the room and in a job interview. So like these things we teach the kids, it's the same things we try and teach the adults. Although like I'm not trying to be as much of a mentor to the adults because they're grown. Like Mr. Chuck's 75. Like, he mentors me more about like life. I just show him how to like not get beat up, So I found, like, I've drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, but the Kool-Aid tastes good, bro. This is like a good cult to be in, the jiu-jitsu cult. Like, not all cults are bad, like there's workout cults like CrossFit, dude, they get really jacked, right? It's not that bad, unless you blow your knees out or something. So it's kind of like that, man. It's, what I've gotten out of jiu-jitsu, what I've learned from teaching these kids jiu-jitsu and like character development, I've applied to my life and it's made it better. So I don't preach that much shit to the adults. I might have used to with you guys when you first opened up.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit more, but like I kind of know where I stand in the world now. Like, I'm not trying to be a philosopher. I do love philosophy. Um, but I'm not trying to be a philosopher. I'm trying to be a jiu-jitsu coach for the adults. I'm trying to teach them how to defend themselves, and hopefully that confidence will manifest into other aspects of their life. But for the kids, we have a little bit more of a roadmap for them. Like, do this way, try it out. It'll work out better, because the kids don't know. By the time you're an adult, you've got you kind of set in your ways, and it's harder. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? So that's yeah, man. That's just how we do it, man.
Do
The
you
kids
think
are it's the future.
do you think that there is something particular about jujitsu that makes it easier to teach some of those character, or character traits versus other martial arts?
Uh, Now, yes. If you compare jujitsu now to karate in maybe the 80s and 90s, maybe not so much. Because karate's in the 80s and 90s, if you don't do the technique correct, what happens? You get punched in the face, right? Jiu-jitsu, you just get choked out. So in karate class now, I don't think everybody's getting punched in the face like they used to, especially like the kids, because CTE is real. So the consequences in jiu-jitsu are still pretty, they're as high as they've ever been, right? If you don't tap out, you're going to go to sleep. If you don't tap out, your arm might break, right? So jiu-jitsu is cool because like you can go 100% and still be safe as long as someone taps out. You can't tap out right before somebody punches you too hard in karate or kickboxing or whatever striking martial art. That's why grappling martial arts, I think, it is more of a social thing. Like, you might hate your training partners if you go to kickboxing because they kick you in the fucking head, right? But you kind of love your jiu-jitsu partners because they, like, they give you neck hugs and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's some type of reasoning for that. But for kids, you don't listen to me. You don't have your frames. Now your face is going to get smashed. Oh, what happened? Oh, look, pat on the back. It's okay. I understand. Breathe. All right. So look, the reason you got smashed is because you didn't have your frames. Next time, get your frames. You put the kid right back in the same situation. It's their second life on the video game. Let's see if you jump the gap this time, Super Mario. All right. All of a sudden, the kid don't want to get their face smashed anymore. Frames come up. They learn jiu-jitsu. But they don't learn jiu-jitsu if there's no accountability. Right? So, keeping the integrity in our art, you have to have the kids put in tough situations like that. But you have to give them the skills for the situation. That's what we do. We're like, hey, this is how you kind of do this. This is how you kind of do that. Go try it out. Here's a gun. Go play with it.
I was training the other day, and I was being like the partner for the teacher so he could show the technique. And he's trying to show, and I did something. He's like, nope, you can't do this because if you do this, you always get your back taken. It's like, that would explain why I get my back taken all the goddamn time.
Yeah. Yeah.
This makes absolute sense because I do this all the time and my back gets taken all the time when I do this.
So what skill was that? How did jiu-jitsu make you figure that out? Oh, now you pay attention to small details. Now you know the devil's in the details. Now you know that one little thing makes a lot of things easier. Like fucking ChatGPT when it comes to writing fucking papers, right? Oh man, this little tool makes it so much easier. If I just keep my fucking elbow in, I don't get armbar so much, So like, yeah, it translates to life, man.
When people ask me too, one of the things that I find incredibly relevant about jiu-jitsu, it's the like small steps to improve your situation, right? Like that you can be in an awful situation and you're not going to go from that awful situation to be in a great position without 100 small steps, right? Yep. Somebody's putting a lot of pressure on you. That's not just going to go away. You have to do one little thing that makes your life a little bit better. And once you do that, like you're saying, oh, I was able to put my frames in. Oh, good. Now what am I, and I think that's a very important skill because, just like in business, sometimes you're looking like, oof, this is an awful situation. And then you start thinking, okay, I can't just go from here to, $10 million business. I have to go from here to what is the next problem that I have to solve. Have you ever watched? Have you ever watched The Martian?
With
Matt
Matt
Damon?
Damon. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the speech that he gives at the end of the movie that he's like, you're in space and he says, you solve one problem and then you move on to the next. And he says, and if you do enough, if you solve enough problems, you get to live. You get to go home. And I find that jiu-jitsu is a lot of that, right? Like, hey, if you solve enough problems, you do
Well,
well. You win.
that's a metaphor, like another jujitsu metaphor, right? Like it's exactly what you're saying. Like I was said earlier, like cleaning your room. Like, man, sometimes your room gets dirty. It's like, where do I start? Well, make your bed. Try making your bed. Maybe pick the clothes up off the floor. One little thing will, you get that taken care of. You're like, oh man, that felt good. You get that little whatever dopamine, serotonin, whatever fucking chemical it is. You're like, oh, I like that. Like, do it again. Don't stop there. Don't get on your phone. Do it again. Go do another task. And then, like you said, after you've figured out enough problems, you get to live.
That's right.
You
That's right. You get to have a good marriage. You get to have a good job or a good career or a good business or a good health, right? And
I get to play the fuck out of some guitar in about an hour because it's my day off. And I've done the work. I've built the business. I trained hard last night. I'm gonna train this evening, but I was able to cut out some time in my day to live.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, to live. I worked out enough problems that Tuesday morning, right. Guess what? I can hang out with my buddy and do a podcast.
That's right. That's right. Do you? What is one advice that you would give to somebody? Both things. One that's considering putting their kids in jiu-jitsu, and for an adult, for a guy like us, and maybe always seem like it looks cool, but you don't know. And what are some advice that you would give to people that are on the outside considering jumping in?
Okay. For parents that want to get the whole family involved, you could probably attest to that. Jiu-jitsu is very individual. So it's not y'all thing. It's their thing. I've seen this happen a couple of times. The parents start jiu-jitsu and then it becomes their thing. It's not the kids' thing anymore. And it becomes like a common thing. It used to be a part of the kid's individuality. They do jiu-jitsu and then the parent joins and the other sibling joins. And all of a sudden it's not little Johnny's cool, unique thing about himself because the whole fucking family's doing it right now, right? So make sure that if the whole family's doing jiu-jitsu, like they have their individual greatness, right? You work on your game, they work on their games. You are not their coach. Their coach is their coach. All right? If y'all are both starting jiu-jitsu at the same time, y'all are both fucking clear belts. I don't know shit. All right? You think you pay attention more than your child in class? Probably so. Probably so. They're a fucking kid, but let them be a kid. They've got like 10 belts to get before you get your first one. Right? They don't, like, when you get your first belt, blue belt, as an adult, those kids, like, they're nowhere close to that. You're like, well, he's got a belt or whatever. Yeah, your kid outranks you when they get their first belt, but like that's like your first fucking stripe or some shit, It's plus, like, you have to realize, like, let's say you start jiu-jitsu at 30 and your kid's 10, right? They don't have to be as good as you until they're fucking 30. Let them be a kid, right? Everybody sucks at it at first, but like the kids might not be like looking at the YouTube videos like you're doing, right? Jiu-jitsu might be your thing. You might be that proverbial parent trying to live vicariously through their kids. And in that case, I would really suggest get your ass on the mat now, right? You know who we talking about, the Moritz, right? We had this shout out to Jason and Caden. We had this one parent, Jason. He would bark on the side of the mat at his kids, like, "Oh, do this! Like, you weren't paying attention."
Get up!
Like,
get up!
You think it's so easy? Why don't you come to the adult classes right after that? And his ego's like, okay. Guess what? He stopped doing? He shut the fuck up and stopped yelling from the side of the mat because it's not easy.
No.
Ikaila, I told her son to come into one of her classes because she was like, "Johnny, get up, blah blah blah. Johnny, get up." I was like, "Johnny, you need to come in your mama's class in next class and come
and just yell at her. Yeah, when you have somebody smashing you and you're like, "Yeah, just get up." Oh, no kid. Have you seen? It's one of my favorite videos. is this guy's on the jiu-jitsu tournament and his girlfriend is yelling at him. And then he
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
"Shut up, Natalie."
Yeah, dude. I yell that at Morgan all the time. He's just gonna hold you there.
Yeah.
Shut up, Natalie. Yeah, dude, it's a good one.
It's so funny.
So back to what I was saying, like the parent, don't ruin it for your kids, right? Don't ruin jiu-jitsu for your kids. If you want to train jiu-jitsu too, you go train jiu-jitsu on your own thing. Don't compare yourself to the kids. Don't compare your kids to other kids, right? They're on their own journey. If you want your kid to be good at jiu-jitsu, give them a year and a half, right? And tell them this is something that takes a long time to get good at. You're not going to be good at it at first. The kids that are really good at it first quit once they get a couple belts and realize athleticism doesn't matter once they actually know what they're doing, right? So, and also for parents, what makes or break a kid is the car ride home. I've literally had parents come up to me and tell me, "Oh, coach, every day when we leave practice, we go over our mistakes on the way home and what we could have did better in class." I'm like, damn, who did that to you as a kid? You know? So, like, yeah, man, like the only thing you need to be telling your kid on the way home is, man, I'm so fucking proud of you. Well, maybe don't say the F word, but I'm so proud of you. Like, I can't imagine how hard it would be to go against some of those kids. Those kids are tough, and man, you defended yourself. I'm so proud of you. That's the only thing that needs to be come out of your fucking mouth on the way home. Not, oh man, you really missed that armbar today. Unless you are a fucking instructor. Plus, if you're an instructor, don't coach kids. They ain't gonna listen to you anyway. You tell them to go wipe their ass and brush their teeth. Like, they tired of listening to you. Jiu-jitsu is an escape from your fucking mouth for an hour. All right. You wonder why they listen to coach more is because they don't sound like you. All right. So let the coach be the coach during jiu-jitsu. Yeah, and that's your time to escape, for you to work on your own shit during your class, them to work on their own shit during their class. And maybe your kid maybe that'll rub off on you. Maybe you have a rough battle with a tough blue belt in like you're in class in the open rolls, and your kid kind of saw that and be like, and you tell them, hey man, I'm really proud of you. Or maybe little Jane instead of little Johnny, I'm really proud of you. That bigger kid was like really put into you, and you did really good guard. You're doing great. It's awesome. Maybe they'll turn around and be like, yeah, Dad, I saw in that big purple belt was doing knee-on face to you. You wanted to tap, but you got out of it. I'm really proud of you. You're like, oh,
we did a session together a little while ago, and I was going against this really tough. I think the kid's like 17 or 18 years old, and this kid was giving me the business, and at the end of it, I had tapped him out once, he had tapped me once, and we were having a rough match. And Samuel goes, "Oh, Dad, he was cooking you." I was like, dude, no respect, no respect. It's like, what are you talking about? I think
so. That's a good example, man. Like you're not your kid's coach; you're their training partner.
Mm-hmm.
You're blue belt, right? You still blue belt? You're not smashing the purples over there?
No, I'm not. I'm having some white belts giving me some trouble.
That's all right. You'll get them, dude. Don't worry about it. Athleticism, like 10 years, every 10 years a belt, right?
That's what I hear.
But no, but that's good. Like the one thing, like I want my daughter to do jiu-jitsu, right? She's 3 months old. I want my daughter to do jiu-jitsu. So
give her another 2 months. Give her another 2 months before she starts.
For sure. The gi's a little big for her. We got to wait till she grows into it. But I'm not going to be her coach. It's one thing I've learned. I've seen, like, my neighbor, Andy, told me this one time. His kids were, like, Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts and stuff. And they went on, like, a lot of trips and stuff. And he's like, yeah, man, and the Boy Scouts and the Scouts, like, every kid here is your kid, except for your kid. So I was like, what does that mean? I was like, when your kid comes up to you like, Daddy, can you do this? Like, nope. Go ask Mr. So-and-so. Go figure it out. Go ask Mr. So-and-so. In the meantime, you're taking care of all the other kids, right? So you're being a good role model, right? And I like that. I fucking like that. Because what happens more often than none, you got a dad coaching a kid on a team. it's not always pretty, dude. I remember I played hockey when I was younger, and I remember this one guy, Charlie Roger. He was a good coach, but dude, he was a jerk to his son, right? His son was the goalie, a little bit overweight, right? Probably had some confidence issues now looking back at it, but you know, dude, he would throw his fucking glasses at this kid. Like, and then like the parents, I think he used to curse a lot, but the parents like said something, so he had to make up curse words, which is even more hilarious. And like I think the kid, like some of the maybe myself and some of the other kids would maybe like kind of egg it on a little bit because it was funny when you get mad, but I think it destroyed his kid's confidence. You know, I probably shouldn't have name dropped him like that, but like he was a good coach for all of the rest of us. I worked hard for that man, but he didn't talk to us like he talked to his kid, right? So, give credit where credit's due, you know. But like now looking back, man, I had a lot of instances like that that kind of shaped my methods as a coach. You know, don't curse and throw stuff at kids. I learned that when I was like 12.
Dude, I always think about the first tournament that we went in New Orleans, and I'm sure you had, you know, plenty of times, but I was going against this guy, and I was up on points, like by a mile, like on points on this guy, and then you had just gotten there, and you started going, "Don't you dare coast! Don't coast! Gotta go for the finish." I was so tired, and this guy came for one last takedown, and I was able to guillotine him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that felt good."
Yeah, man. Yeah. So Carlton Gracie, right? He said, "It's better to enter like a mouse and leave like a lion than enter like a lion and leave like a mouse." You'd have felt like a little bitch if you'd have left like a mouse and just coasted. And you remember that, right? It's in your memory. You're like, you know, man, I went for it and it fucking worked.
Yeah,
right.
Felt good.
But that maybe that lesson gave you the confidence to go start your own fucking business in another state, man. That takes balls. That takes balls to go for shit like that. You know, like you're tired, you know, it's probably not going to work, and you fucking go for it anyway. You know, are you happy you made the decision? I mean, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
You seem to be doing great, man. You know, I'm proud of you.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Yeah. It's a bunch of building blocks, right? Even for our kids, it's never just one lesson. It's the little things that keep building it up, right? Hey, I got to keep pushing. That's like I was saying, one of the things I love about jiu-jitsu, right? It's not one big thing. It's not one big move most of the times that you're doing. It's putting yourself more and more in the position so that the next thing can succeed, right? It's putting yourself more and more in the position. And I think that's one of the things that we see so often now is that everybody wants the quick fix for everything. My marriage is torn apart. Hey, what are the 5 things that I should do to fix my marriage today? You're not. You haven't listened to your wife for the past 10 years. You can't just go buy flowers and think that everything's okay, right? But maybe you can start listening, right? And then tomorrow it may be just 1% better than it was yesterday, right? When one of the things that I see when I talk to parents is they haven't done any of the work to be in a good position with their kids. Like their kids are used to not listening to them, right? Their kids are used to doing things that the parents say, "Oh, you're going to be punished," and then nothing happens, right?
Yeah, because don't do that.
Yeah. You tell your kid, like your kid asks, "Can I do this?" And you say no. And then the kid says, "Well, can I do this?" And say no. And then the 4th or 5th time, you're like, "Fine, you can do it." Then your kid knows, hey, the first no is just what I need before the 4th or 5th. My dad's going to say yes eventually. Say,
well, no, I've heard you. You're like, what did I just say? I've heard you with Lucas. You're like, what did I just tell you?
Yeah.
Hey, shut the fuck up because he knows, right?
Like how often are we going to have that conversation, right? And that goes in I heard this guy the other day, and it has changed a lot of the ways that you see. He's like, the hardest respect that you have to earn is your own respect. And he talks about how often did you say that you were going to train and you didn't. And nobody is egging you on. How often did you say that you were not going to eat something and you did? Like how many commitments you made to yourself that you didn't, right? And that erodes your confidence in yourself to the point, because everybody, you know how many times you leave a match and everybody is telling you that you did great. And you, in the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, I kind of quit.
Yeah, there's some things I could have did.
Yeah, like I know that I tapped, like I wasn't too happy with how I did it. That everybody may see man, I thought you were doing great. It seems like you were giving your best, and you know that you were not. And
because a C plus is still passing.
that's right. So you have to start changing those things to yourself and with your kids, right? Like in these situations, you have to start changing them a little by little, and you have to take the steps. Hey, and the farther you go, the farther you let bad habits build, the harder it is to. Hey, you smoke for 20 years. I'm sure that it's a lot harder than if you never smoked in the first place, or if you just smoke once, right? It's a lot. Like the longer you go, the harder it is to quit. And so,
100%.
and so,
Yeah, I used to smoke.
yeah. So taking those steps, right? So I love that about jiu-jitsu, man.
Jiu-jitsu helps.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's always a build up. Hey, better decisions. Hey, you're mounting somebody, you have a lot better options than when somebody's mounting you.
Well, it's all accountability, man. Everything you're talking about is accountability. When you go to the tournament, like people, oh, you did so good, you did so good. You're like, man, I know deep in my brain I could have did better. You're holding yourself accountable. You could just be like, yes, I am the grand champion.
Mommy said that I was the best in the whole tournament, even though I lost all my matches. But I was the best. And it was not fair because that other kid was too big. And
well, he's a higher belt than me. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's strange that the little tricks our mind plays to make things like better than you think it should be. But it's accountability, right? You have to hold yourself accountable. You go to the tournament itself is like, okay, all this stuff that I learned, am I going to freeze up or am I going to actually go for it? Right. So like you're putting yourself to the test, and that's, if you lose, whose fault is it? It's your fault, right? You made the mistakes. You didn't train hard enough, So like that's accountability, right? Let's say you get promoted. Let's say your instructor gives you purple belt tomorrow. All of a sudden, like a whole big old weight of accountability just got dropped on your waist, right? And you got to hold that shit up now, right? Now brown belts are going to be coming after you with a vengeance because like you're purple belt and you should be able to take it, right? So keeping that accountability, keeping yourself accountable, like you said, like not eating that thing you said you weren't going to eat. Nothing keeps you accountable like not getting punched in the face and not getting choked out in front of your friends. All right. So if you're the type of person that like needs a little accountability in your life, jiu-jitsu is great for that. But you got to like in first, like you said, you smoking cigarettes, you're drinking beer every weekend or whatever, you go to jiu-jitsu, it's going to be a rough week. So then you start thinking like, look, I'm not trying to not be an alcoholic. I'm not trying to quit drinking. But man, I'm really tired when Felipe is like murdering me, like, because he's got a lot better cardio than me. So maybe you stop smoking cigarettes so often. Maybe you start going for runs to catch your cardio up for jiu-jitsu because you're tired of getting choked out by the blue belt, right? And all of a sudden you're in a little bit better shape. You're kind of keeping up with the blue belt now, right? So these little small changes, because of old school accountability, like you don't want to die. Like the Martian, you don't want to die. You solve this problem, you don't die. You solve this problem, you don't tap out as often. So like that's what jiu-jitsu does. It keeps that accountability. And then when you're fucking everybody up at the gym, and everybody your rank will go to a tournament. Put a little bit more accountability on there, right? Now you're representing your school and stuff and all that stuff that really doesn't matter, right? But you're upping the level of difficulty on the video game. All right. My friend Christian Fulgham used to always say, when hard becomes the norm, difficult is easy. Or maybe it's vice versa. I don't know. But when the hardest level becomes the norm, like kind of hard, isn't that it's kind of easy, right? But if you're sitting there on easy the whole time, you just watching YouTube videos and like going try and triangle choke your girlfriend on the living room floor, like, dude, you kind of like, or you friends getting together on the weekends, you watch some UFC and you're like, oh man, let me see how he choked him. Let me see if I can figure that out. Like, if you really want to learn the art, like, don't dabble. Go and golf yourself, because it's vast. There's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to learn. There's a lot of things that is going to change. Not that you're gonna have to change, but is going to change by circumstance when you start training. I'm starting to preach this shit like a religion, and I don't mean for it to be like that, but I don't really go to church that much. But I would argue all the things people tell you about church, like, oh, it makes your life so much better. It's just blah blah blah. Jiu-jitsu did that for me. So yeah, I'd recommend, like, if you're thinking about it, man, just go pull that trigger. The money you're gonna save not going to the bar every weekend and like hanging out with people that are just gonna be hanging out at the bar in the next 30 fucking years. Take that money and go invest in tuition in a good martial arts school.
Yeah. And just so we can wrap up here, any tips for how people would choose a school?
Yep. Let them sell you. Let them sell you on the program. Don't commit to anything the first day. All right. There's a lot of programs out there that are going to tell you, if you sign up today, you're going to save this much money. Don't worry about that. Don't give into that. If there's free trials, go try all the free trials in your area. You want to test drive all the cars, so to speak, right? If there's like 5 jiu-jitsu gyms in your area, 5 martial arts schools in the area, different gyms are going to fit for different people, right? Some guy that's like, just got a divorce and he's like 30 and just like, that guy might want to go work out in a warehouse with mats on the floor where there's staff running rampant because it makes him feel tough. I don't know, whatever. Some people might be wanting to get their family into something healthy. So you might want a cleaner facility, make sure they have a good kids program and stuff like that. If you're an adult just trying to get into a good gym, it doesn't matter if they have a good kids program or not. You're just trying to learn how to defend yourself. So, try out all the gyms. Go do all the free trials. Go do the free trials first. Do the paid trials. Try them all out. Ask to meet the owner. Ask to meet the main instructor. Talk to the instructors. If your kid's trying out the program, let your kid try out the program. Be honest with them. Let them know we're shopping around. We're trying a bunch of different places. They're going to try and sell you. They would be like, look, I know you're trying out a couple different places. I know it said if you could save you $50 or whatever if you sign up today, but look, if you come back next week, blah, 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 we'll work it out. They want you to sign up.
Yeah.
They want you to sign up. I want you to sign up. The way we do is we offer a free class. Come for free. Come try it out. Like, your first lesson is free. Old school martial arts stuff. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, no big deal. Later. Thanks for trying us out. Let people know if you had a good time. I'm not trying to like get people stuck in a membership that they don't want to be in, right? So like we want to make sure that they like the program first. So go try all the programs around, see what you like the best, see what's the best fit. Remember, if the instructors, seem a little shady or something, it's probably because they're a little shady. If the instructors seem pretty genuine and they have love for the art, it's probably pretty genuine. And you're going to know, man, you're going to feel the vibe. I would recommend if you're putting your kids in a program, you try the program also yourself. Just so you kind of understand what they're doing. Even if you just do the trial class, and I'd recommend the parents do the class first. Go do the trial class, then let your kid go try the class. That way you're not barking orders on the side of the mat. And it's not as easy just to get up, Yeah, so looking around. And honestly, Felipe, like, I don't know why you haven't started your own little gym inside of Anytime Fitness yet, dude. You'd be an amazing kids instructor,
Maybe in the near future. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
well, you'd have my blessing for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, my buddy. I'm very happy for your success and the family. We're happy to come and get to participate in your wedding. We're super happy to be there.
My wife throws a good party.
Yeah, we had a great time. We had a great time, and we're looking. We might come again. We might travel in for Clayton's. I'm trying to figure out if I can, but
it's coming up pretty soon. It's like next month, man.
Yeah. So happy for you guys, and I'm hoping that when I come in, I can go train with you guys. Last time I go was a bunch of murderers in there. Now,
Yeah, we like to think that we're doing all right, man. The jiu-jitsu's, the jiu-jitsu's good. The vibes are better. I'm proud of you too, dude. You're doing great out there.
Thanks, buddy.
It's scary. It's scary. And a lot of people don't realize like the fear involved and having to get over all that stuff when you're opening up your own business. But you're doing great out there, man. Couldn't be more proud of you.
Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Enjoy your day off.
All right, brother. Same to you. Peace.
All right, dude. Take care.